Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something really relevant for so many of us navigating these high pressure times, understanding burnout.
Absolutely. It's a critical topic.
And we've got some fresh insights, actually. We're drawing from an ObserverPoint article published just today, April 17th, 2025. It's called Recognizing the Signs, Symptoms of Burnout.
Very timely.
Right. So our mission here really is to pull out the core information for you, the listener. We want to help you understand what burnout actually looks like, maybe gain some self-awareness.
Which is the first step, isn't it? Awareness.
Exactly. The article breaks symptoms down into three main buckets: emotional, physical, and behavioral. So let's start there.
Sounds good. And it's important, like the Observer Point piece suggests, to see this in the context of our modern work lives. We're not just talking feeling a bit worn out.
No, this is deeper.
Much deeper, a profound kind of depletion. The article kicks off with emotional symptoms, highlighting emotional exhaustion as a primary sign.
Okay, emotional exhaustion. What does that really feel like?
Well, it's described as this consistent feeling of being drained. Not just tired, but, emotionally and mentally tapped out.
Like your battery is just always low.
Precisely. Your emotional reserves are depleted, so daily demands feel overwhelming, which then naturally hits your mood, your motivation.
Ah, okay. So recognizing that persistent feeling that I just can't cope today, that's key for identifying potential work burnout.
It's a huge flag, according to the article.
Yeah.
A really critical first step.
Makes sense. It's that feeling where just thinking about work is exhausting.
Yeah.
And building on that emotional side, the article brings up cynicism and detachment.
Yes, let's unpack that.
It's more than just a bad week, right? It sounds like a real shift in how you view things.
It is. You might find yourself becoming quite negative or distant, not just from the work itself, but even from colleagues.
Losing interest, too, maybe. The article mentions losing interest in tasks that used to be engaging.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Things that used to maybe excite you or at least hold your interest suddenly feel heavy, like a chore. And what's interesting, Observer Point suggests this isn't just, becoming a grumpy person. It could actually be a kind of defense mechanism.
A defense. How so?
Well, when you're under that constant intense pressure, the mind might sort of create distance to protect itself.
Oh, like emotional shielding.
Exactly. It might give you a temporary buffer, but it's a really strong signal that something's wrong, a clear burnout indicator. So if you find yourself becoming really jaded, disconnected, pay attention.
Definitely noted. Okay, let's shift gears to the physical side. Observer Point talks about physical exhaustion.
Right, another major symptom category.
Now, we all get tired, but this is different, isn't it? How does the article distinguish it?
That's a crucial point they make. This isn't your typical end-of-day tiredness that, a good night's sleep sorts out.
Okay.
It's a persistent fatigue. It just hangs around no matter how much you rest.
Ugh, and it shows up physically.
Yes, in very tangible ways. Think low energy levels consistently, maybe frequent headaches or muscle pain that you can't really explain.
Right, like aches that just appear.
And changes in sleep patterns are common, too. It's like your body is basically screaming that it's under chronic stress from, well, often from work burnout.
Yeah, the body keeps the score, as they say.
It really does. These physical symptoms make perfect sense when you think about how chronic stress messes with our systems, nervous system, endocrine system.
It all connects.
It does. And the article also flags changes in appetite and sleep. These are fundamental rhythms getting disrupted.
So what kind of changes are we talking about?
It can go either way, actually. Some people lose their appetite entirely. Others might turn to comfort eating, maybe reaching for less healthy stuff.
Stress eating, yeah, I think we know that one.
And then there's sleep. So vital for recovery, right?
Yeah.
But it gets disrupted. Maybe it's insomnia, just lying awake.
Or the opposite.
Or the opposite.
Sure.
Sleeping for ages, but still waking up feeling completely exhausted, unrefreshed.
That feeling is the worst. Like sleep didn't even happen.
Exactly. And these changes just compound the physical depletion. It really highlights how burnout impacts us physically, quite profoundly.
Okay, so we've covered emotional and physical. Now, how does burnout show up in our actions, in our behavior? The Observer Point article starts with social withdrawal.
This is a common one.
And again, it's more than just wanting some quiet time, right? What makes it a burnout sign?
It's the extent of the withdrawal. You might find yourself actively, dodging social interactions.
At work and outside work.
Both. Maybe skipping lunch with the team, which you used to do, Or in your personal life, perhaps canceling plans with friends more often.
Losing the desire to do things you enjoyed.
Yeah, a noticeable drop in wanting to participate in hobbies or activities that used to bring pleasure. It's like you're pulling inwards.
Are there less obvious ways this shows up? You mentioned avoiding colleagues, but what else?
That's a good question. Um, Maybe being physically present, but sort of emotionally checked out in social settings. Like you're there, but you're scrolling on your phone, not really engaging.
Zoning out.
Right. Or always having an excuse to skip team events, even ones you might have liked before. And the reason it's so detrimental is that it cuts off support.
Ah, so you isolate yourself just when you need connection most?
Precisely. Social connection buffers stress. When we withdraw, we lose that vital support, which can just make the loneliness and the burnout even worse. It's a tough cycle.
It really sounds like it. The article also points to a decline in work performance. Seems obvious, but what specifics does ObserverPoint mention?
They highlight things like, well, decreased productivity is a big one, but also difficulty concentrating, that feeling of mental fog.
Can't focus.
Exactly. And making more mistakes than usual, even on familiar tasks, things you normally do easily.
So what's the impact of that on the person? It sounds like it would just add more stress.
Oh, absolutely. It's often a vicious cycle. You feel less efficient. Maybe you try to push harder to compensate, but that just digs the hole deeper, worsening the exhaustion.
Because the root cause isn't laziness, it's depletion.
Exactly. It's not about capability or willingness. It's a consequence of being burned out. And linked to this, the article mentions increased irritability and frustration.
Getting snappy.
Easy to dismiss as just a bad mood, right? But if it's a persistent pattern, that's a warning sign.
So shorter fuse, less patience.
Yeah, getting agitated more easily, maybe impatience with colleagues or family, sometimes even like uncharacteristic outbursts of anger.
Wow, that must strain relationships.
Definitely, both at work and at home. Creates a much more tense environment for everyone.
ObserverPoint also mentions reliance on coping mechanisms. This one struck me. They talk about substance use, unfortunately.
Which can happen, yeah, as a way to numb the stress.
But also procrastination. I thought the way they framed that was interesting. Not laziness, but avoiding overwhelming tasks.
Right, it's an avoidance strategy. The task feels too big, too draining, so you put it off.
But then the guilt kicks in.
Exactly. Putting it off leads to more anxiety, feeling inadequate, which just feeds back into the burnout loop.
So these coping mechanisms are like short-term fixes that backfire.
Pretty much. They're often attempts to get immediate relief from that intense pressure, but they don't solve the underlying problem and, yeah, can create new ones.
And finally, the article covers loss of enjoyment and a sense of helplessness. That sounds heavy.
It really is. This is a significant one. Activities, hobbies, things that used to bring joy just don't anymore. They feel like obligations or just flat.
No satisfaction.
No. And maybe the most concerning part is that feeling of being trapped. Like you have no control, no power to change things. Can't make a difference.
Helplessness.
Yes. ObserverPoint notes this feeling can signal a more advanced stage of burnout. It really demands attention.
Wow. Okay, that's a really thorough picture of the signs. So pulling it all together, based on this ObserverPoint article, just recognizing these things, the emotional, the physical, the behavioral flags, that's the essential first step, isn't it?
It truly is. Awareness is where change begins. And that leads us to a final thought, perhaps for you, the listener. Having heard all this, these different symptoms, do any of them particularly resonate with you? Do they ring true in your experience?
A moment for reflection.
Exactly. And maybe thinking, based on that awareness, what's even one small proactive step you could explore? Just something to support your own well-being, especially in these demanding environments we're all in.
That first small step.
Yeah, that initial self-reflection, that little action, it can be a really powerful starting point.